In this September 2020 semester, our group is tasked to create a report and a video on asset decommissioning or disposal. Our chosen asset is household e-waste refrigerator. Before we begin with the presentation, I shall introduce our members. We have Siti Aisyah, Hasyirah, Najwa, Aqilah, and myself, Hana. This presentation is divided into 5 sections. We have introduction to asset decommissioning, process involved in decommission of asset, regulation, financial reporting, and risk management of the chosen asset.
Decommissioning of asset, also known as disposal of asset, can be defined as the act of selling an asset that has been depreciated over its useful life. In the asset life cycle model, asset disposal is the last stage of an asset's useful life. An asset that has reached the end of its useful life will become completely obsolete and must be disposed in a proper manner. The disposal cost of an asset depends highly on its type.
Before we start, did you know that in the year of 2013, almost 205,000 units of household refrigerator has been sold according to JFK Malaysia. Thus, this will create more e-waste that needs to be disposed properly at the end of its life.
Generally, there are 3 common processes involved in asset decommissioning or disposal, which is abandonment planning, execution, and strategy. However, for the chosen asset, there is only 2 processes involved, which is abandonment planning and execution. The appropriate steps of disposing a refrigerator must be followed thoroughly to prevent any accidents from happening.
Another thing that will be discussed today is the regulation imposed for the decommissioning of the asset. In Malaysia, regulation that has been established are Environment Quality Act 1974, Environmental Quality Schedule Waste Regulation 2005, and Environment Quality Refrigerant Management Regulation 2020. Below are the content of the regulation that are related to the asset selected, which is refrigerator. Next is the regulation in terms of transportation that has been developed under Environmental Quality Refrigerant Management Regulation 2020 and Environmental Protection Agency Position Paper in 2009. Lastly, these are the regulations regarding the storage and the record keeps of waste in the Environmental Protection Agency Position Paper in 2009 and Environmental Quality Refrigerant Management Regulation 2020. Although this regulation developed for waste facilities and related parties can avoid and control pollution, there is still no comprehensive guidelines for household refrigerator that focus more on users. Therefore, Malaysian government need to take this matter into account seriously.
Now I will be presenting the total ownership cost of this project. So in calculating the total ownership cost of a household refrigerator, there are 4 types of costs that we need to consider. The first one is the initial purchase price or cost. The second one is the operating cost. The third one is the maintenance cost. And the fourth one and the last one is the disposal cost. We're going to develop the cash flow diagram based on the cost mentioned just now. In order to calculate the total ownership cost of a household refrigerator, we're going to use the data from HORI 2004. In addition, according to NFO 1996, economic service life of a household refrigerator is 14 years. The first cost in the cash flow diagram is the purchase price, which is $83. It is the average price of a top-mounted refrigerator freezer. Next, the operating cost for the refrigerator is due to the electric consumption. The annual operating cost for a household refrigerator is $40 per year. Meanwhile, the maintenance cost for a household refrigerator is zero as it is not needed. Last but not least, the disposal cost, which is $25. The value may vary depending on the location. By summing up all the costs, the total ownership cost is calculated to be $1.8 throughout its 14 years of service life.
Risk management is defined as coordinated activities associated with directing and controlling an organization concerning risk. If the company fails to comply or fails to dispose of the refrigerator asset properly, this will significantly affect and damage the reputation of the company, and if exposed, ultimately would lose trusted customers and subsequently lose profit margins. The first step should be dismantling all the hinge parts such as the refrigerator's door. Refrigerator's death is a term to describe death by suffocation due to being trapped inside the refrigerator. Since then, legislation was published emphasizing mechanical detachment, while detaching of the refrigerator door should be done when the refrigerator is unused or in the process of disposing. The chemicals pose non-environmentally friendly measures and dangerous if not disposed of properly. If there is a leak of the tetrafluoroethane fluid, it could cause refrigerant poisoning. CFC was the standard fluid used in refrigerators. It is known to deplete the Earth's ozone layers and cause an increased chance of skin cancer and damaging the immune system. The Montreal Protocol, which was signed in 1987, laid out regulations that urge countries to contribute to the phasing out of production of harmful substances. As for Malaysia, the country has successfully phased out CFC in January 2010 and now committed to phasing out HCFC by 2030. When decommissioning the small components such as condenser coil, it is best to dismantle as the metals could be recycled into other products. Across all states in Malaysia except Sabah and Sarawak, there are 117 registered private companies specializing in handling household e-waste. Failure to comply with regulations implemented by the government could result in getting fines or even jail if some countries impose stricter regulation. With that, we end our presentation. Thank you for listening and watching.